War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we sit down, we get together, and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here on this channel, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you hanging out with us and just spending a little bit of your time, talk about the things that we love, the things that sometimes frustrate us about being part of the Auburn family, being Auburn Tigers fans. On this live stream, we're going to be talking about the Auburn Tigers unfortunately falling to the Tennessee Volunteers by the score of 67-62 on the road in Knoxville, taking only their fourth loss on the season, and probably a little bit of frustration to be vented out tonight on that part. But before we do any of that, we got a couple of things to address. I'm going to try to evoke some good feelings out of a tough situation tonight and use a Bruce Pearl phrase, which he's made famous. I'm back. I know that all of you wish that this was under different circumstances. I'm back from vacation. We are here. We are live, and we're going to have fun regardless of how the game turned out and how frustrated we might be about this particular game. What I want you to do right now, if you can, please do make sure you post in the chat or if you're Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff, where you're watching from, city, state, international, with a War Eagle, and make sure you smash that like button. It does help the stream out, helps other Auburn fans find us as well, so they can be part of our little family within the Auburn family. And so tonight on this live stream, we're going to be discussing my obviously thoughts and reactions to the game, but obviously yours as well. So that's what's on the table for you tonight, and that is how we're going to get things started. And I'm happy to be back with you guys again, even under these circumstances. Let's see everybody who's checking in. We got Corey Benson in the house, Thomas Manville. Corey asking how the vacation was. We can talk a little bit about that in a little bit, but that it was a great vacation. I'm super tired. Got in the house about like right before the game started, honestly. So it was get home from vacation, get the stuff out of the car, turn on the game, get this stuff set up, and go. So, and a great way to start off the stream back from vacation. We got a brand new channel member. Woo! I need to get on like confetti or something I can do to post when you guys do stuff like this on the stream. So thank you so much, Mr. Chris Lester, for joining our channel membership program. Speaking of which, since he has given a great opportunity to do that, we will talk about that a little bit later on in the stream in more detail. But this stream is brought to you by our channel membership program. More on that in just a little bit. I'll sum it up in one word: dadgummit, or dadgummit, however you want to phrase that. Hermes says Tennessee is 15-0 and 0 at home this year. Auburn is as well. Or I don't know the specific win totals, but it is. We are undefeated as well. Yahari, good to see you checking in. Let's see here. Thank God for beating Arkansas and Kentucky. Just have to win our final two games to secure the SEC season championship. I haven't looked at how it actually breaks down. I think that's how it works out, Yahari, that if we win out, we win the regular season title. But give me a minute. Like I said, just getting back from vacation here and trying to kind of get assessed with what's been going on and what's at stake for the rest of the season, the final two games that we have here for all the Auburn men's basketball team, at least for the regular season. Let's see here. Trying to find 5 of 24 from 3 today is not going to cut it. Our guards are killing us. Well, definitely not their best game all the way around, but there are not much more. There are other problems as well that need to be addressed with the Auburn basketball team other than just poor guard play. We can look very closely at one specific instance, and that is rebounds, offensive rebounds. And some of it was not necessarily their fault, but a lot of it was. And there's a lot of extracurricular activities going on that seem to kind of affect the flow of the game a little bit. But we don't make excuses here. Tennessee wins. They're a very, very good team. They're a very, very hot team as well. And that, let's take this, let's rewind it back just a little bit here, okay? Let's rewind it back to 2019 when an Auburn basketball team was going on a really hot streak at the end of the season. and went on to a Final Four run. Same thing was happening for the 2020 team before it was shut down because of the pandemic. They were rolling as well. Seemed like they were going to be making a case to make another magical run in the NCAA tournament. So Tennessee is very much in that position right now. So once again, Auburn falls on the road. So they've only fallen at a neutral site and at 3 road games, that being Tennessee, Florida, and Arkansas. All the teams right there that we're discussing, including Auburn, are the best teams in the SEC. That's all Auburn has lost to. And that's it. I mean, you should take pride in that you are losing to the best and only the best, unlike some other teams who drop games that they should. Now we've come close. Let's admit it. It's been close at times, but that's the kind of the way I choose to look at it. Hate it if you will. War Eagle from how do you say that? Sulligent, Alabama. I've never heard of that before. Let's see here. Trying to roll down here. Linda, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking in. Good to see you again after a long week off. Every game on the road. Every game is on the road in the tourney. Yes, it is, Anthony. Absolutely it is. But it is a neutral site. So I understand what you're trying to say there. But what you're saying is still incorrect. It is actually a neutral site game. There is no advantage to the other in that instance there. Now, based off of the limited games that we've had with Auburn and neutral sites, that being the Bahamas, not the Maui Invitational, the Battle for Atlantis is what it was called. They even talked about it on the broadcast tonight. You would tend to say, well, it looks kind of hit or miss whether they can do it on neutral sites. We'll find out. The thing that needs to happen right now mainly for I feel like Auburn basketball is they've got to figure out how to get out of some of these slumps a little bit quicker that they kind of get themselves into shooting wise and be able to score a little bit more and maintain those streaks for a little bit longer. There's much bigger problems than just what I'm saying there, but that's just kind of a quick assessment of that. I don't like playing the South Carolina last game right now. I understand it. It's easy to be down in the dumps, to understand, to be a little bit frustrated with where we're at as a team after a loss, especially when this is kind of becoming a pattern now. We win one at home, we go on the road, we lose to a good team. It's understandable, right? But if you have been paying attention, especially here on this channel, what we've been talking, it's not just me, it's a lot of our viewers and listeners here. Been talking a lot about this. Be ready for this team to lose to somebody and lose to multiple people. Just because you were number one doesn't mean that you won't be toppled, and toppled more than just being down to number 2, number 3, probably number 4, number 5. We'll find out, right? It'll all take care of itself. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. I missed you guys as well. It was a much needed vacation. It was nice to kind of check out, even though I had to miss some basketball games and videos and podcasts with you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Inside the Jungle, they still put their podcast out on the regular podcast feed. You didn't hear them here on YouTube because I just never got around to putting them up here. But that's why you should be subscribed to our podcast on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, all that good stuff, so that you can listen to them in occasions like that where I am indisposed. James, we can't figure out some kind of offensive flow. It's going to be a short postseason. Yes, I agree with you a little bit there, but I also agree that I disagree in the sense that Bruce Pearl is very much giving his guys free reign to be creative, and I think that is when they're at their best. But we have to find a way when we're up against some of these teams and facing some situations that aren't going our way. Whether that, and I'm not specifically speaking about this game tonight, speaking about in general, whether it's bad calls, unlucky things like the whole offensive rebounding situation tonight wasn't about effort. They're trying. They were just getting bad bounces, and Tennessee was playing really well in terms of rebounding the ball, especially offensively. So it was just kind of not their night. And so when you have other things happening that are not going in your favor and you're not helping yourself, you're on that road against Tennessee, you're going to take some losses. Let's see here. James, War Eagle from Huntsville. We have to remember everyone will give us their best game. We are still in a great spot. We just have to win out and take care of the SEC, and we'll retain our seeding. I would say, though, yeah, if Auburn wins out the rest of the way, including the SEC tournament, seeding's not going to be a problem outside of being the number one seed. I think that is obviously gone now. You could still be a number one seed in the tournament, but you'd have to probably win out. I think some of the things that some of the media people were kind of knocking us for and why they wouldn't put us as high are starting to show themselves, and it kind of proved their point a little bit. Doesn't mean we're a bad team, but it means that we're not a perfect team. But we are a very deadly team. Your team just came back from an 11-point deficit with 2 minutes left, basically on the back of Jabari Smith. That's impressive. And that makes them a very, very dangerous team that nobody wants to face. Let's see here. I'm going to have to skip down here just a little bit, trying to stay up with the chat here. Let's see here. Hermie says, I'm a Vol fan. I figured we'd see a couple of Vol fans check in tonight. Thanks for hanging out with us. Politics, Bruce pushed Bruce out. You guys have a great coach. I agree. And I think you guys have a great coach as well in Rick Barnes. And it's one of the great things that makes matchups like these so exciting to watch and so entertaining, is because you've got two great coaches, two great programs, and they're on two different trajectories right now. Auburn's kind of hit a wall, so to speak, where they got to that number one seed. Everybody was kind of gunning for them, and then they faced a little adversity and kind of can't continue on. Tennessee is kind of continuing that trend, which makes it them very, very dangerous. Great question, Miles. Did we peak too early? We'll find out, right? You can't really make an official assessment of that until the season's over. So when we see what happens in postseason play, then we can probably say, yeah, we peaked too early. But right now, we don't know what our peak is. We're Sweet 16 at best right now. Spicy Penguin says, maybe so. Depends on where we fall. I'm not going to step out and make some big statement like that, except that I still believe that this team should be an expectation for this team to make the Elite Eight, as good and as talented as they are. Personally, I'm a fan of losing only on the road in a neutral site. We'll bounce back the last games of the season and have momentum going into the postseason. So great point. Okay. So when you think about resumes, because how you get seeded is based off of quad 1, 2, 3, 4 wins. We won't go into the details of all that, but just know that on the road, taking a loss to a good team is a not as bad of a knock as it kind of feels like. That's not a bad knock on you whatsoever. Now you continue this pattern and show you can't get a win on the road. That could be very, very troublesome for the Tigers. I believe we're on, again, I'm trying to get back into the flow of things here from being on vacation. I believe we're at Mississippi State in the middle of the week, and then we finish out at home. We get South Carolina. I would say Mississippi State is a must win, and it is going to be a very tough challenge for the Tigers. They have to get that win to prove that they can go on the road and get a win after taking a loss on the road. Mike says that Flanagan is driving him crazy. I get that. I think part of that frustration you have comes from him being the star and now having an injury and still not being back in the flow of things. But let's keep things in context here. If you've ever been through that type of injury, you know how hard it is to come back from it, and not just from an assurity of keeping yourself safe, but how you move within the game. Basketball is a very rhythmic, cerebral game. And if you get out of that for a considerable period of time, it takes a while to get that back, sometimes more than a season. Christian says he agrees. No, they aren't at their best when he gives them. No, they aren't at their best when he gives them free reign. So you agree with someone else? I guess is what I'm understanding there. I think that they are at their best when he gives them their free reign. Now, what that comes with is a lot of risk in situations like you saw tonight. I think there are probably some situations where Bruce needs to spend a little time with the guards and say, hey, nights like tonight can't happen. You guys have to be contributing more, but you also can't be making these mistakes that you're making. So, yes, that comes with it, but they're at their best when they're given the freedom to be creative, in my opinion. Massage tech. Number one was obviously a miscalculation by the judges. Good teams win on the road. Need to reestablish ourselves in the tournament and bring some championships. Agreed. This isn't a bad loss. You lost to Tennessee, not Vandy. I hope I didn't say that or imply that. No, this is a very good loss. I even feel bad. Not good saying that. There's no such thing as a good loss, but there are bad losses, and this is definitely not a bad loss. Harrison, loved the perspective here. I do believe that the Tigers still have a great opportunity to prove that the hype is real in the tournament. Turn of the game was when the lineup changed to Wendell, Katie, Williams, Cambridge, and Cardwell. We can live with Williams and Cambridge hard play, but Wendell and Cardwell have to put offense together. Okay, I think I understand that, Chris. I know you're probably typing fast there. I would say that there were some lineups tonight that were very disadvantageous to Auburn at times. Seemed to be kind of a lot of times when maybe Wendell was in there, when Katie was in there. But my question to a lot of you, and there's a lot of your comments we're not addressing because you're being ridiculous. Would you want to not have them at all? Because Wendell's put us on his back a couple of times this year. Katie's put us on his back a couple of times this year. You got to take the good and the bad that comes with it. Miles, guards will make a break because these guys got to be more consistent and help Jabari and Kessler out more. I think that's a fair assessment based off how they're playing right now in the season. Chris, Cambridge needs to start. Flanagan needs to run. Trying to follow that a little bit. Okay. So basically saying that Cambridge needs to start over Alan Flanagan. Those situations I found to question less and less because people are allowed to start not because they're the best player out there, but because what they do together as a unit. And whether we see that or not, that's what coach is seeing in practice. So if coach continues to see a trajectory of Alan Flanagan not producing the way he needs to as a member of the starting lineup, then he will make that change. But there's a reason that Coach Pearl puts him in there. And not that I necessarily agree with all the TV commentating tonight, but I do think what thing they pointed out there is even though you're not seeing the points by Alan Flanagan, you are seeing the contributions. I don't have the usual stats up with me here. There's a thing called a plus minus where you can see based off of all the stats, time, what they're contributing to the team. And Alan Flanagan tends to be in the plus column. Maybe not high, but he's always contributing. Thomas wants to look past the rest of the season to the SEC and the NCAA tournament. Don't do that. Don't do that. Mississippi State is ready to pull an upset. Everybody smells blood in the water when it comes to Auburn. Arkansas opened that wound up. Florida Gators got a whiff of it, took advantage. Now have the Tennessee Volunteers. It's also sad that streak's over with, isn't it? Just got to push the knife in a little bit further for you guys tonight. Chris, Purdue went down by 4. Kentucky always moves up. Having said that, 1 loss, 1 win this week. We should stay in the top 3. I don't think so. I think there's enough dissenters out there in the polls that have chosen to, right or wrong, focus on some of Auburn's weaknesses are going to find reason to drop us further. And you should prepare yourself for that. For those that say we won't go anywhere in March, just remember the Final Four team that got slammed down the stretch of the regular season, then dominated in the postseason. Well said. Well said. Kennedy, as a Vol fan, I hate Auburn, but I respect the heck out of Jabari Smith because he is so dominant. He absolutely is. That's the funny thing about this is it's kind of like where I've gotten to with Coach K, which is sad that we're going to be, not having him as part of college basketball after this season. It's becoming a reality all too quickly. I can't stand Duke, but I respect the heck out of Coach K because he's a great coach. takes a lot for a guy to do what he's done for as long as he has at a program like Duke. But he also goes and coaches the Olympic team and wins the respect of guys like that. That says a lot about a coach. I know this is not a Duke podcast or a Duke YouTube channel, but just want to throw that out there because I think your point is well taken there. Let's see here. I guess none of Auburn sports can do blah when we are in the top. We play better when we're underdogs. It does seem to be that way, right? It does seem to be that we fight better from the bottom. I don't think that's an Auburn exclusive thing, but that tends to feel that way, and I kind of understand. I get it. I do. I honestly do get that. 2 for 15 from the point guard won't do it. Well, since you brought that up, let's look at it. So your point guard, Zep Jasper, is 0 for 2 from the. I know you're talking about Wendell, but he's not the point guard. Zep is the starting point guard, at least. Zep basically has the night that you expect from him. Some other contributions in other areas. Defensively is what he does, and not a lot of, if any, offensive contributions. Wendell Green tonight, 2 for 15. So yes, I would say that on nights where Wendell Green is scoring in double digits, Auburn wins pretty much assuredly. But there are other people that have got to contribute and do better too, whether that's Katie Johnson, Devin Cambridge. The bench tonight probably is what really ultimately let you down, just in the truest sense. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate you appreciating me be back. Like I said, I missed you guys a lot this past week, and it kind of felt unnatural to not be talking basketball with you all, and especially with baseball getting started and softball underway, not talking Auburn sports this week. But we are back in the saddle, as tired as I am. It's funny, you come back from vacation and you're still you're still tired. It was fun, though. It was fun. What are my thoughts on Tennessee's consistency? Based off this game, they weren't very consistent. They had a very poor shooting run there. And they had a very hot one, and then they kind of gave up the lead there at the end of the game almost, and gave Auburn a chance to win the game. So in terms of just a one-game opportunity to make an assessment, I'd say not consistent at all. But if you look at how they're trending right now, who they're beating towards the end of the season, they're in a very good place. I hope that answers your question. Wendell has to grow up and become a leader. Leader doesn't mean you lead the team in scoring. Example, Auburn greats and players need to have a meeting with the guys. Sure. I think I understand what you're saying there, Chris. And, I think it's a bit of without understanding your point completely. I think it's a little bit of a step out there just to go off of one game and say, I know we're frustrated right now, but let's not say things about like them not being leaders, but maybe becoming more of a leader. I can get on board with that and growing and getting better over time. I think it's probably a fair statement to say that Wendell had kind of peaked for a little bit and it's kind of come back down, maybe come back up again. A little bit more consistency would probably be something that would make everybody happy. Can't figure out why we aren't running the offense through Jabari Smith. Thoughts on that, unless it has been discussed already. Well, so they even said it tonight on the broadcast. It's great when he's making the shots, and he did that again tonight. But if your offense is always going to run through him, then you basically live or die by how they're doing. You want to get the best player in college basketball the ball as often as you can, but you got to get it to the other guys, and the other guys got to finish too. There is a certain narrative that I think is being pushed, not specifically by Auburn fans, but you see it a lot in on TV and people talking about Auburn when it comes to college basketball this season is get the ball to Jabari Smith. And I agree with that. But this is not an individualistic sport. This is a team sport. And the case in point tonight, Jabari Smith goes off for 27 points. Did it matter? No, because your bench didn't help you out. Your guards didn't have a consistent game. Walker Kessler didn't have, scoring-wise, a great game. There you go. I think I remember Paul saying that he was going to come over here and talk trash. Well, there you go. I'm glad you got to come back, but I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have seen you if it had gone the other way. But congratulations. Your guys have a great team. As a Tennessee fan, I like to beat Bruce, but we all secretly wish we still had him, I think is what you're saying there. Barnes is great, but we can't bring the energy that a Bruce and his son produces. Hey, listen, I agree with that. We were very happy to have him, and thank you so much for whatever reason it was, that politics, scandal, whatever, that got him fired and it brought him to us. Now, Paul, I would suggest you, buddy, to be careful here, because if you become a nuisance, we will get rid of you. But also, why don't you win with a little bit of class, too? That's a novel concept. It's easy to troll and hide behind, names and stuff like that when you don't have to really face the consequences for this type of thing. So let's just keep that in mind. Love our team. Let them shine. Thanks for reading our comments in real time. Pretty cool. Well, hey, no big deal here, right? Now there are some nights where it is impossible for me to get to everybody's comments because we have I think one show we had like 200 people commenting live. And it's like, oh, I can't keep up with them all. I'll do my best here as long as I can. Our shows are are less about, giving you the instant analysis and tell you why everything happened, but just to talk through it and have fun discussing, what happened, even in a loss like this. So I'm glad that you value that. Tennessee's very inconsistent. You never know what they're going to do. I would say, again, in the one game spectrum of analyzing them, yes. But right now, I like the way that they're trending. We're watching Jabari become a legend. Chance of him having a statue at Auburn one day. Whoa, wow. That's a question that is way too soon being asked, Mike. But I get the hype, and I know why you're excited to talk about that. Let's let Jabari finish his season out here. Let's see how he does in the NBA. I think that's what will determine whether or not he gets a statue. My buddy Clint Richardson, I don't know if he's watching right now or watch this on the replay. He runs the Auburn Uniform Database. This is a topic that's very sensitive is not the right word to him, but he gets very fired up about how you honor people, when you honor them, and all that kind of stuff. But the way Jabari is coming on this season as the season goes on, and them leaning more on him, and him rising to the occasion is great. May also counter, though, as people have wanted him to do, become more aggressive, to become more of the guy that takes over. What has happened? Auburn's taken 3 losses. That's not the only reason why they're losing, but that's 3 opportunities. That's not a coincidence. So just keep in mind, it's a give and take type of situation with all sports, but especially basketball. You ask for one thing, it might get you the other thing. The team seemed to be winning more consistently when he wasn't being given more opportunities to take everything, and people were screaming, "Why are we giving Jabari the ball?" Well, it's more convoluted than just the way I broke it down there, but just the interesting thing I'd like to point out. And of course, we got some Arkansas fans acting the fool here. But I will say, JD Note is pretty awesome there. Arkansas and Tennessee are both champions today. If you want to celebrate for the day, yeah, sure. Let's see here. The team, Chris says this team isn't a Final Four team. Just seems, in my opinion, that Wynn plays a lot to not compete when he's not scoring. That's just my eyes rewatching games. You see the floor better second and third rewatch. Chris, I'm not understanding what you're. I don't know if the typing's coming in wrong or whatever, but I'm not understanding what you're trying to get at there. Maybe Pearl can hit the barbecue joint on his way out of town. Hey, worked out well for us the last time he did that, so sure, why not? 2 questions. Any chance of Kessler returning, or what's the latest on Zion Cruz with us? Mike, I will tell you that I don't get into a ton of recruiting here because, to me, well, let's not even go down that rabbit hole. I don't have any information on Zion Cruz. I know at one point he was a hot name. That what I was being told that the interest from our side fell off a little bit. Don't really have anything super to report or share at this time. Kessler returning doesn't seem like a likely option the way he's been playing. Let's see here. Auburn has become inconsistent. It's incredible how much you can skirt around compliments for the teams who beat you. Show some class, my guy. Did you not just hear me say Tennessee's a great team? Arkansas is a great team. Florida's a great team. I don't think I said that, but I'll say it here again. Florida's a great team. JD Note is a great player. Someone asked me about my thoughts on Tennessee's consistency. Woo, that's interesting. That is interesting. Yes, Mike, I agree. Jabari, watching his growth has been a lot of fun, but we've got to get the team focused about playing together and not just focused about getting the guy the ball. And that's the great thing about Jabari is that is what a type of guy he is. He's the guy that knows he's the guy, but doesn't necessarily want to always be that. And that's a hard thing to be. And he is such a rare talent and a rare person all wrapped up into one. Let's see here. Majority were backhanded comments. Sure. Well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. It's an interesting name and picture, by the way. Let's see. We may never get another big man like him again. Very true. We may never. That may never happen again. But I'll never say never. All right. We haven't talked a lot of specifics about the game, and we kind of just, and that's kind of what tends to happen with losses. We get into some things, we get some other fans trolls and things like that. But we've had a lot of good Tennessee fans popping in here tonight. We talked a lot about what didn't go well. Obviously, the guard plays Zap Jasper didn't even score. Well, yes, I think I have that right. No points for him. 2 for 15 from Wendell's not going to cut it, as a lot of people have said. Alan Flanagan only got a couple of baskets tonight. Jabari Smith dominated. Katie Johnson was a huge factor in this game, both ways, good and bad. But really, the bench is really where the problems become evident. But the biggest thing we haven't even talked a lot about is offensive rebounds. And as I've already addressed, a lot of those rebounding situations tonight weren't about effort. Sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your right way, and the other team got in position a little bit better, a little bit quicker at the right time. But still, there were some times where it's almost like I noticed tonight, we sucked ourselves in closer into the paint as opposed to finding a body and pushing them out to create that space to make a better rebound opportunity, especially when they're shooting from so far back and the ball tends to bounce back farther. So that's probably what you saw happened a lot tonight, is it got sucked in there, or the guys got sucked in there, didn't push them back out a lot. But you can't win basketball games when you are losing the rebound battle offensively like they did tonight. 11 for Auburn, 21 for Tennessee. Defensive rebounds. Let me make sure I have that correct. Yes. 20 for Auburn, 33 for Tennessee. That's mind-blowing. 31 total rebounds for Auburn, 54 for Tennessee. Wow. That's an incredible disparity right there. A lot of you know this. I talk about 3 areas: turnovers, free throws, and rebounds. Each of those can lose you the game, and case in point right here. Usually they'll kind of counter itself out if you kind of win 2, lose 1. But when you have a disparity like that, it's hard to make any other mistakes and still win the game. And Auburn did that tonight. Plenty of mistakes. Let's look at free throws tonight. Not bad on Auburn's part, 73.3, which has been a lot better than they have in some other nights. But still, there's areas for improvement there. Turnovers, 12 for Auburn, 18 total times for Tennessee. So Auburn wins both of those categories, but the disparity amongst rebounds tonight was the issue. Those columns will always win you and lose you the game every single time. Let me back up here. Let's see here. It's always funny to watch some of these former fans that their win wasn't good enough, so they still got to come back over here and troll a little bit. It's always funny. Chris says his phone for some reason isn't letting me scroll to proofread. For whatever reason, it's blanking out what I typed. Don't mean to sound like I get that, Chris. I know you've probably got a lot of opinions, and this would be a great night for you to call in, but I don't have that open for you right now. Why didn't Zepp play more? I was really excited about his last game, hoping he was finding a rhythm. We need a better shooting. We need better shooting from three. Tonight, that would have very much helped. Let's go back and look at the team stats tonight. 5 for 24, 20%. That will not do it. Most people agree that you should probably be doing the 33% to have a good night. That is not going to get you anywhere near that. If you were expecting Zepp Jasper to have a game like he had before, then I would strongly encourage you not to expect that. That is not the type of player and the role that Zepp is. And that's not a bad thing. But it's great that you know that he's capable of that so he can step up in this moments. And it probably should have happened again tonight. This is much bigger than Wendell playing bad, Zepp not scoring like he did the night before. We could go down the list here. There's a big issue is rebounding, and there are a couple other things that fall into place there. Doug, we've peaked. Flanny and Cambridge gave us 0. Is Berman dead? I don't know specifically what his injury is, but obviously it is something that has kept him from being able to get back in the rotation of things. Very much the same thing that Alan Flanagan is going through. And when you've got one guy who's struggling to find his feet after an injury, you don't want to throw two guys into the mix too often. And no offense, but Laura Berman is brought in minimal time just to kind of give guys a breather, but he's still a great contributor, right? I don't want to disparage him in any way. We're not losing because Laura Berman is not in the game, but I do miss seeing him out there because he contributes. I think we need to take the Wendell Green green light. He shoots too much. You say that, and then I bet a lot of the times you're loving that green light when he makes it down. Just wasn't a great night for him. And it's easy as that. Corey, Tennessee played a good game. Time to take our lumps and work on improving inconsistencies. Thank you for being a voice of reason, Corey. And folks, look, I get it. You know, I know I've countered a lot of you that are having some negative feelings tonight, and that's kind of what we do here on this show. We're not going to just parrot everything like, oh, the world sucks. Oh, we lost the game. We're going to talk through it. I'm going to give you my opinion on it. We're going to hear other people's opinions. And I might push back a little bit on that. But back to Corey's comment here, you take your lumps as a team. It's hard to go undefeated in conference play. It's hard to go undefeated overall. It's hard to stay number one. College basketball is a much different beast. You take your lumps, you figure out what you got to improve, and hopefully you peak at the right time. Has Auburn already peaked? I could see why you think that. But there's still plenty of season left. Postseason, at least. Chris says we'll be okay. Team just has to come together. A lot of players dropping their heads because stats aren't there. They need to play D and take smart shots. Points will come. I would say that probably some smarter decisions would made the difference tonight. But a lot of things we did wrong. A lot of things didn't work in our favor tonight. Free throws, preach that for 30 years. Free throws. You will hear that a lot on this channel. Good to see Chase here from Infinite Auburn. He's another YouTube channel. We still have some games to improve before the tournament. Completely agree. This is not a time for it's over. We're not a Final Four team. This is simply a time to say, hey, what caused this problem? Tonight, there's probably a few things that you could point out, rebounding especially, bench play, guard play. Let's work on those things, get better, and then make assessments where this team's at. Oh, great point, Devin. I know this has nothing to do with the game. I got word that this was going to happen when I was on the road back home today, that Harsin was making the point to travel to the team. I hope we all take stock of the fact that the guy is obviously going out of his way to not amend is the right word, but to make a point of repairing and fortifying the relationship that he has with not just the fans, but the rest of Auburn as well. And not that he did anything wrong, but it's hard to not come away with some questions and hard feelings after that. So having your head football coach that just went through a pretty rough time show up on the road is pretty incredible. I'm saying it now. If we don't control our guard shot selection, we will lose early in March. Only time will tell, Cam. Only time will tell. Mike, I do appreciate how he plays very hard for us. I think he gets a little too quick to fire the gun sometimes, but every moment I feel like I say that, he is proving me wrong. So I choose to take the good with the bad, and I choose to let these guys be creative and have fun because that's when they're at their best. Tonight wasn't fun for them just as much it wasn't fun for us. I agree, Leighton. It does seem like that away against good teams doesn't work in our favor when they have the home court advantage. It's all fair game after that point. Tampa Bay, nobody's got, well, you could say the Gators probably have the best opportunity for a chance, but I think the Gators are a really solid team. I don't think that they are going to win the SEC tournament, though. Chase says that Harsin got the message, paintball, showing it for basketball games, interacting with the students, camping out. Well, and to be fair, and I think you know this too, Chase, obviously, but he was doing some of those things before, but he's stepping that game up. He got the message, right? And it's good to see him backing that up. Rusty says the SEC has the best home court win percentage in the country. Very true, and we are seeing, enjoy this, folks. I know we're at the bitter end of it tonight, but this is one of the better SEC fields at the top part of it that we've seen in quite some time. You've got Auburn, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Tennessee with a few others trying to get in the mix and stay in the mix. And they're all good. Are they all perfect? No. But this is, any one of them could have taken the league. Auburn just positioned itself better earlier on in the season. Did they peak too early? We'll find out. As I've said all year about, this isn't hate on Wendell. Auburn goes as far as a guard play takes us. He's got to find ways to contribute to the team, especially when he isn't scoring, because he's a liability on D. Wendell has looked great at his best when he's running with Kessler on screens, but he tends to want to step back and attack and pass or kick out. This is partially on coaching. I'm still going to disagree with you on that a little bit, but I mean, it's not that it's necessarily wrong. That's just my opinion. But we'll find out, right, at the end of the season. Leighton says, seems like this year's away games are every team's downfall, more this year than normal, since last year had no fans. That could be at play. Absolutely, it could be. You'd think by now, though, that would be less of a problem. So I would say early on, that's probably the case. Probably not now. Augustin says Tennessee's one of the most underrated teams in the conference. Was a game that we could lose. Nothing to worry about. I don't think that they're underrated. I think people know Tennessee's a dangerous team, and most of us knew this would be a dangerous team regardless. But they kind of started off slow. It's a really good basketball team that you didn't want to be playing at this point in the season, and we were unfortunate that we had to play them on the road when they're peaking right now. And I shouldn't say peaking, streaking right now. What's your predictions for Mississippi State? Mississippi State is going to be hungry. They smell the blood that's in the water that everybody else has put out there for Auburn. And if Auburn's not careful, got to rebound. I hope first thing in practice, Coach Pearl does. He knows his guys know how to rebound, but he puts everybody in there and says, go to war, rebound, rebound, rebound. Got to do those drills. Think the ball should be shared a little bit more. Probably would have been good to have a little bit more of that tonight, especially from the guard play. Assists, we had 12. Tennessee only had 9. Yeah, that probably would have helped a little bit more tonight. Chase says that we'll win our last 2 games of the regular season, no doubt. I love the optimism, Chase, but I'm a little worried about that Mississippi State game. I think we should win it, but I got to be honest, I'm a little worried about it. Lucas, thanks for being a great Vol fan. It was a great game. You guys have a great team, and excited. Hopefully, we get an opportunity to repay the favor in the SEC tournament. That'll be fun. Do you think the SEC can mirror what the Big East did with the 3 of 4 in the Final Four? Ooh, I don't know. That's tough to do. That's really tough to do. That requires, very convenient seating. Because you got to think right now, Auburn and Kentucky are in their best spots to be, 1 and 2 seeds. I think Arkansas can probably make its way up to a 3 or 4. Same with Tennessee, maybe. That's just too much opportunities for them to be on the same side of or in the same region of a bracket. So it'd be cool, but not likely. Leighton's sharing some thoughts from Bruce, apparently. Bruce Pearl struggles from Wendell Green tonight. I trust him because he's really delivered. You're going to go as your best players go. Wendell's one of our best guys. And there he goes, from the horse's mouth. I think we all have our opinions about what we would do as a coach, but we're not the coaches. And so we can say it all we want. That doesn't mean it would be true. Bruce Pearl has proved time and time again he knows what he's doing with guards, especially small guards that nobody wanted. I'm going to trust Bruce on this one. Mike would love to see Cambridge become a little bit more aggressive. He could be an X factor in turning time. I think not necessarily about Devin, but I like that point, Mike, that you really need a guy that kind of flips the switch come tournament time. Case in point, Dangiel Purifoy in the 2019 run was pretty much just kind of in the role of a Devin Cambridge, right? Contributing, probably had a good game here, there, starting for the most part. I think he was starting that time. Yes. But then all of a sudden just turned it on. I don't think you're ever going to see Devin do that. But I do think Devin is doing most of the time what we need him to do, and that is being a great offensive rebounder outside of today, but nobody was. And, being a electrifying energy guy, being a guy that gets forgotten about and then just lays the hammer down. I would like to see it too, because we've seen him do more. But I think he has now found his role that works best for him and the team, and I think he's kind of sticking to it. SEC has 4 or 5 teams playing pretty good ball right now. Should be an amazing tournament. I was on vacation in Central Florida, and I was just thinking, like, I'm so close to Tampa Bay. Can I just stay down here for a couple of weeks and go to the games? But I'm not going to make it. Banking for that Final Four tournament. Knock on wood. WT Gardner, I trust in Bruce Pearl and what he's doing, where he sees the team. I will gamble on him with Auburn every time. Well said. Well said. Rematch will be great. I agree. All right. Get some last minute comments, questions. We're not going away just yet, but I'm going to give you some reminders as we kind of start to round out our night tonight. Again, as I said, our show was brought to you by our channel membership program. Had somebody join up tonight. I think it was Chris Lester. Thank you so much for doing that. That's very much appreciated for being part of our channel membership program. You can do that by hitting the join button. You get icons next to your name. They're the little tumors corner toilet papers, and they go up and how many you get for however long you stay here. You also get access to emojis throughout the stream tonight, especially the brand new Peacock one. Well, it's not brand new at this point, but it's newer that you can use during the chat. There I am. I'm back now. It's much easier for me to see your comments when you're a channel member, especially as we continue to grow. The chat starts to fill up, and there you go. I'm able to see you guys a little bit easier amongst everybody. Let's see here. Mike, I got you knocking too as well, right? Good. Got to talk about new coaches on Wednesday. Yes, Corey, thank you for mentioning that since we're covering like housekeeping stuff real quick. Check out the links in the description for ways you can help support our content other than the channel membership program. But Wednesdays, we always do a live show. It's very free flowing. Usually we kind of start out with some football, but you just never know what we're going to hit. And you can call in. So a lot of you that have had a lot to say tonight, but it's been hard for me to get, or for you to get through or get your points through, call in. It's fair game for everybody. Maybe even some of you Tennessee and Arkansas fans that want to come and talk trash. Want to talk trash live? It's open for you. We'll see if we get anybody. They always say they do, but they never do it. Neil, I know you're just getting here, and I'm sorry, buddy. And you can blame this one on me. We did get a win while I was gone, though. And technically, I was back for this game, but I'm just not back to full force yet. As you can probably tell, I'm a little bit tired and worn out from a very fun and crazy week being on vacation. But happy to be back with you guys. All right. Last minute thoughts, comments, and questions, kind of to round out what we've been talking about tonight. I know it's frustrating, guys. I get it. This team was at the highest of highs and has just seemed to hit a wall. I wouldn't call it peaked, but hit a wall. And we just need them to push past that wall, find a way to find that light or that crack that they can get through. And maybe they can reach their full potential that we have all felt that they were heading towards. Season's not over. Lots of improvements to be made. And Bruce is one of the best at doing that. And I think we're going to watch somebody flip a switch, as we talked about, whether you thought maybe a Devin Cambridge, but be the Danjel Purifoy this season and be the X factor that ignites this team on a special run. I might be wrong, but I'm willing to believe it can be done. Cool, Luke. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you hanging out with us. It concerns me that we're not good on the road, Neil says. We kind of addressed that a little bit, Neil, already. Good thing is that postseason games are all neutral site games. Yes, they are road games, but there's no home court advantage necessarily. Florida might have that opportunity in the SEC championship since it's in Tampa Bay, but I don't think that'll be that much. Still don't think we played our best game, Devin says. I would agree with that. I think our best game is still out there, which should be very encouraging. Let's see. Charlie, you've got a Razorback fan here watching from Little Rock. Been watching channels since the Hogs played Auburn. You guys have some great fans, very informed. Need you guys to lose for the Hogs to win. Hey, listen, I love it. I love the competitive spirit. I'm very proud to have lost to Arkansas. I think you guys, JD Note is a great player. You see guys like him, like Pippen from Vanderbilt, Castleton from Florida, and Jabari Smith, right? We're just #blessed with a wealth of talent in college basketball, especially the SEC this season. It's been fun to watch. Let's see here. I demand perfection. We all demand it, but is it a reality? No. Winning the last 2 games is imperative to winning the SEC as the sole champion. Hope we can do it. Absolutely agree. Kevin says, don't sleep on the Vols. Nobody here is sleeping on the Vols. I promise you that. I will not let them because I knew this was going to be a tough game regardless of how they were performing at the end of the season. Steven says, I want Bruce to take this loss as his fault for not these dudes down, calming them down and finding a channel to run the offense through. Careless errors, missed easy shots, throwaway passes. And I want to get you a little bit there, Steven, because I usually don't let those type of comments come through. You wouldn't say that to his face, sir. Just don't say it here. It's not necessary. So how about this? I would say about your comments that Bruce always accepts the fault. That's what a head coach does. The way that he lets this team run didn't work well tonight, but it's worked well a lot the rest of the season. They know better than us on how to fix the team going forward, and I have a pretty good level of confidence that those changes are going to be made. Yes, Chris, great point. Everybody, please, for those of you that believe in the power of prayer, believe that we have a savior that has everything in his hands, even though these troubling times seem to be very discouraging. We will issue out a prayer for everybody, but especially Ukraine and everybody in the path of that going on. So great point, Chris. Let's see here. Trying to get the. Of course, we got some other Tennessee fans just, being Tennessee fans. Kevin says, Bruce is an amazing coach. He changed my Vols program and changed y'all's program. Great point. And I think that's a great way to end this night. That was a great comment by a Tennessee fan. Listen, great to be back with you all. I know I'm probably not at my top game, as our guys were not top game tonight, but I appreciate you letting me take a week off. I'll get back in the gear of things the next couple of days, and we're going to have our regular content coming back out, whether it be live videos here on Wednesday nights, especially edited videos, podcasts, posts on social medias. Hope you guys are ready to be back in the saddle. I'm ready to be back in the saddle with you. It's great to be an Auburn Tiger and be part of the best little family within the Auburn family. Thank you for watching tonight. Hope to see you soon.